All right, Spores, welcome to the Two Fun Guys podcast. I'm your host, Brent Ruska.
And I'm your co-host, Mr. Tony Haddad.
Skibbity Rizzler.
Skibbity Riz Toilet, everybody.
We have a very special guest today. It took a lot of convincing to get Anna here. Anna's my client. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I made it. Thank you. Thanks to you.
We did have to bribe you to come on, but it worked.
You did, but I'm here and it's amazing. This is my first podcast ever. So I feel honored. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good job.
I'm so happy it's with you.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring you in just because I think it'd be a fun chat on so many different things, but I want to talk about your experience training with me. There's a lot of women that train with me that are very interested in just your life in general. And it would be cool to kind of share where you were when you first met me and how you've progressed through physical, mental, and kind of spiritual through training.
I wanted to use something before, like I started training with you, because this is very interesting. I was already training on my own at home.
What were you doing?
I was doing weights. I was doing videos, YouTube videos. I used to go to a gym, but when I moved to Austin, my son was 2 weeks old and he was very colicky. And every time I would go to work out, they would call me from the baby center. So I started working out at home. And then I started going to Gold's Gym. And eventually, oh my gosh. Hold on. Before I met you, I was actually not actively looking for a trainer. I definitely knew that I didn't want a male trainer. I don't know why. There's something about the male energy. I remember working out at a gym that it would make me really nervous. I think I don't know, the testosterone maybe. So when I met you, I was really just not looking for a trainer. It was a girlfriend of mine who said, hey, we were looking for something to do together.
Shout out to Ashley.
Ashley, we love you. And so I didn't know about you. I had no idea who you were. And she said, let's do this together. And I'm like, okay. She sent me your Instagram and I'm like, absolutely not. I feel like
barbarian.
No, I was very intimidated. Like all the women that were working out with you looked so strong, so professional. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And I think this is where the male part comes in now that I'm calmer. I just felt like it's such a, what do you call it when you are vulnerable? It's such a vulnerable space when you're working out with someone. And I never imagined myself working out with a guy. But after she sent me your website and all of that, she's like, you love him. He mainly works with women. And so that, made me think, okay, cool. But of course, Ashley is a model. So in my head, again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sure everybody in there is amazing. And I don't have experience. But then I went in and I met you. And the first thing that you asked me was, why now? And this goes back a little bit. Before I met Brent, I was turning 50. And it coincided with a lot of things in my life.
Yeah, which no one believes. Every time we get in these conversations with the clients, it'd be like 4 of us, right? And everyone's talking about kids and whatnot. And then she's like, oh yeah, I have a kid that's 20 and 15. And they're like, wait, how old are you? And they're like, I thought you were 35.
Yeah. So right before I met Brent, when I was 49, it coincided with my daughter going off to college. And up until that point in my life, I think I had always imagined everything that I wanted and kind of manifested. I know this word is kind of very, it can be triggering to people, very in vogue, I guess, now. But to me, manifesting just means that you connect with what you are thinking about, right? In this plane. So up until this point, I had already gotten everything that I wanted, my family, my kids, everything. But I never thought about what I wanted after 49, 50. And when Audrey all of a sudden left for college, I kind of went into this little bit of a personal spiral. And I took to my journals. I journal a lot. I have several journals. And one of them is a manifestation journal. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I'm like, I'm not big on, like New Year's resolutions or things like that, but I do like to have intentions. And one of my intentions was I want to be in the best shape of my life when I'm 50 and in my 50s. So I think this is beautiful. I think that I manifested you into my life. Even though I wasn't really looking for a male, I wasn't actively looking for anyone. It just kind of it came into my life. But the reason why I love it, was that the question? The reason why I love working out with you, so many reasons.
Well, how long have we trained together?
A year and a few months, a year and a couple months.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about your first month or so of training, what that experience was like.
So the first time that I trained with you, I was intimidated. But once I met you, you have such a calming presence about you. And I just felt like, this is going to be so easy. I mean, I have to show up and I have to do the work, but you're going to tell me what to do. So that's it. If you commit to doing it, that's it. I'm a good little soldier. I'm going there. Brent says, jump, I jump, And so the day after, I think it was maybe not the first day because I'm shy, but after the second session, I think I left you and Ashley a voice memo and I was like flying because that's how I feel after I train with you. It's like, I feel like I had 5 shots of espresso and I'm on my way home. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. Thank you. And that was my first couple of experiences with you. Was that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you've been training with me, what, a year and so many months?
Yeah. So, a year and a couple months. We had a break during the summer because I went to Spain, but I did continue to train as much as I could. But yeah, I mean, my body has completely transformed. I mean, I have always been on the thinner side, so I have to say that, but I didn't really have a lot of muscle tone. And at 50, almost 51, I mean, I have a lot of definition. I'm not bulky. I'm not, because that's another thing that women think that once you start lifting weights, they're going to get bulky. I think it takes so much work and so much, you would have to live like crazy and also not only live, but I think be on a very strict diet and supplemented certain way. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you have to really be in a caloric surplus and train hard for a very long time. And that's what happens with women. They start training the first 3 months. They put on a little bit of muscle, so they think they're getting bigger, which they're just putting on the muscle they should have had.
Yeah.
And then over time, the body fat starts to come off.
You did mention that you said don't be scared if you put on weight. But for me, I actually did want to gain a little weight. So, but I think it's a normal fear for women that want to get fit to, I'm going to put on weight.
It's kind of a funny fear though, because most men are actively trying to put on a lot of weight and get bulky and still can't.
Don't you find it insulting when
it is insulting? They're like, I don't want to get big. I'm like,
this man
lady, I am
like crazy.
Actively
Eats cereal and ice cream and steaks all day long.
Yeah.
And
you're like a teenage boy. You're 15.
I have to be. I don't want to eat that much food, but I have to. I'm forcing it down. And I put on like 30 pounds and that was like a year and a half of hard work, lifting every day and eating so much food. So going to the gym a couple times a week, ladies, is not going to get you super bulky. Yeah. Take it from Anna.
It's a lot of work to keep eating, and which I think with you also, the reason why I love training with you is that it doesn't end when I leave the gym. You're always dropping little gold nuggets during the day, or like, have you had enough protein? Because you know that's what I need. And I know that you do that for everyone because you've trained my husband. And we even had, this is really fun, we had a family training session. Oh, yeah. And the kids are obsessed too. And
how did that go?
It was great. It was great. And Audrey, when she's in town, she comes and trains. So she'll start again. But yeah, you continue to, you know the person and you know what they need, and you continue that throughout the day, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, that's why I keep the group small, so I can still coach people individually in what they need. It's more of, you're focusing on whatever your goals are, getting stronger, but everyone needs little tweaks to actually get the most out of what they're doing. How would you describe the training sessions themselves, being in the session, the experience?
So the first thing that we do is always a little cardio. which is great because when I get there, I'm usually half asleep. So I need to get my heart pumping. And so we do a couple of minutes, 3 minutes usually of warm up. And then we do circuits. So we do, just lifting, whatever you tell us. But I do love that sometimes we all might be doing the same, and some other days it's almost like he knows what everybody needs. And sometimes there may be 4 or 5 people and we're all doing different things. Like I have a bad elbow, I have a bad wrist. And so Brent knows. And so he'll have me do something different.
Sometimes I forget, but trying to manage everybody's little knickknacks and give everybody what
works
need.
And what doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So what would you other than just the actual what you're doing in the session, how would you describe the experience of training?
To me, it's just incredible. I mean, I think it's a physical and a mental type of growth because I never imagined that I could lift with a male trainer, also with other women that most of them, I think I'm probably the oldest that you train right now, but most of them lift more than me. And I am a competitive person, so I do want to lift more. But I think it's just that growth. And when you leave the training session, you feel strong, mentally as well, because you realize, oh my gosh, this is how much I lifted, or I was able to do that I didn't think I was going to be able to.
And that's the value of working with a trainer versus just following a program.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I don't like writing or don't do virtual training, because it's just not the same.
It isn't.
And it's not really fair. There's too many people out there writing programs for people, but having someone right there to teach you how to push beyond what you think and learn in that moment is very, very valuable.
And you know what also? We've been training together for a while, but you still go sometimes and will poke my shoulder and tell me exactly how to stand or what my posture should be so that I don't hurt myself. You can't do that via Zoom. And I also love being in person because the energy in the room. I love all of the women that you train. I think you attract a certain clientele, and all of the women that go there, I adore. Like we've become close, and you have to be in person, and it's always different. There's a few that always go, but there's always a different vibe.
Yeah, I have different time slots that people can kind of rotate through. So you never know who's going to show up, even me.
That's right.
Sometimes I'm like,
you're mostly over there.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Have you worked with trainers before?
Never.
First time?
Yes. That's why I was so apprehensive, especially with a guy. I just didn't, I don't know why that is, Do
you think it's a European thing?
I don't think so. I don't know. My dad's amazing. I am super close to my dad. He's my favorite guy. He's the guy that, modeled love for me and what being a male, the supportive husband, father was. I have a brother who's incredible, my husband, that you guys know.
Yeah, Matt's amazing.
I have a son. So I am surrounded by beautiful men. But I think outside of my comfort zone, there's something about the male energy, and maybe something in my childhood that I don't know. But it takes me a minute to get comfortable. And maybe, there's something to be said for the culture. In Spain, when I was younger, if a guy liked you, they just come at you with everything, and so
a little more guarded.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit more, shy, on the shy side.
You're very feminine too. How would you say your body has changed over this last year?
Oh my gosh.
Clothes, how you move.
This is so exciting. Everything. I have never felt more confident in my body and stronger.
Even than when you were 20.
Yes.
Wow.
When I was 20, imagine a baby deer with the legs. That was me in my 20s.
I call her baby deer all the time. When she was first learning to train, it was like little, it's like when you see a baby deer, they kind of stand up, fall down, stand up. Her knees are like woo, 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 moving all over the place.
I'm still a little bit like that, but yeah.
And that's why it's important as you age to get stronger, because people think doing all these fucking balance exercises makes you better. No, it's actually your strength.
Yeah.
And when people are like 70, 80, 90, the reason they fall down is because they're weak, not because their flexibility's gone away. And then when they're weak, then the flexibility their limitations and range of motion starts to go away.
Yeah.
And then,
My in-laws are like that. We send a trainer to their house twice a week
so
because
Bambi legs.
Bambi legs. And I don't have Bambi legs anymore. I feel, more confident and stronger, really like strong. Like I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody to help me, whatever. But
What type of animal legs do you have now?
I have
A strong gazelle.
giraffe legs.
Giraffe legs. Giraffe legs are pretty strong.
Yeah.
They can take a hit
Tall,
from another giraffe.
And because I feel like I'm doing things that I like being here, things that I never thought that I would do.
How would you say has your clothes changed and how it fits on you?
Yes. And I mean, again, size-wise, I'm a little bit the same. But I mean, I have muscles popping out that I've never seen before. And I'm like, oh, that is fun. Like, yeah. I like that.
And the training is just one piece. And I'm curious, and I think everybody would like to know is, what are the things you do on the outside of the gym to take care of yourself?
Oh my gosh.
From the way you think about food to the way you think about sleep. I know you meditate.
Yeah.
You do sauna.
So many things. And I think the older I get, the more my list is getting longer.
Yeah.
Matthew always jokes that he has seen multiple seasons of shows because I take so long at night. But it's true. To me at night, it's like almost like a meditation. I do love taking care of my skin, and sometimes I have music on. I have special light in the bathroom at night.
What's the special light?
They're like these cute. Well, I have a salt lamp.
Yeah, nice.
It gives the most beautiful glow, and some beautiful lamps that are like amber color. No
fluorescent.
No fluorescent. Nothing.
Limit the blue light.
Yeah. So, but I started really taking care of myself during COVID. I know COVID was such a destroyer, but it brought such a different side of me. I spent, like everybody else, so much time inside. And so I tend to run anxious, or used to. So during COVID, watching COVID destroy Europe before it got to us, and all of my family is in Spain. So I had to cope. I had to find ways to cope. So I started meditating twice a day.
And what does that look like for you?
So I meditate every morning. Usually I do it when Dylan is off to school. When he's off to school, when I made his lunch and his breakfast, I sit outside and I put my headphones on and just a meditation. Sometimes it's music, but most of the time it's a meditation.
So it's guided?
If I wake up early, say 5 a.m., I love Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. I bought two, the morning meditation and the evening meditation. And they're obviously different, but the morning meditation is almost like, okay, envision what your day is going to look like. What do you want it to be? Kind of like dream about it. And it's great because you're not 100% awake, so it's all going in there. And then at night is whatever happened today, just let it go, and it's almost, it's just calming. And they're both 30 minutes. And you're supposed to do them sitting up. The one at night, I don't. I just, every night I listen to it. And if I wake up in the middle of the night, I just hit my phone, my button, and then it's in my mind all night. And then it changes. I like to meditate twice a day. I do yoga sometimes, thanks to you also.
Was that kind of like your first time doing yoga?
I was doing a little bit of yoga at home, but again, going to a studio where you're with people and the teacher can come around and kind of correct your posture and all that is so much better. So I do that. We have a sauna.
Real quick, what do you think you get out of yoga? Like what has been the value for you?
You know me, I'm so sensitive. Every time I go to yoga, I cry on my way home. Like most of the time, yes. And sometimes I cry when I'm there. Sometimes I cry when Brent is doing this is another thing that I'd love. At the end of our workout, sometimes he'll do it like legs up the wall. So it's like our cool down. And he has the most incredible voice. I think he needs to do some kind of, I don't know, monetize it somehow.
Maybe start a podcast.
Yeah, we should probably start a podcast.
Maybe a podcast.
We should talk about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should talk
It's a good
about
idea.
that.
No, like sleep meditations or,
Yeah. I was thinking maybe of experimenting with doing yoga nidras. I feel like I
Yes.
could start to do that.
Oh my
but
gosh, 100%.
I need to learn. I don't want to like get hate from all the yoga nidra people because I think there's a way you have to do it. And I could probably freestyle it, but yeah, it'd be kind of a fun
think you
side
should.
project.
Because a lot of the yoga nidras that I've listened to that you sent to me that I didn't know what yoga nidra was. I don't love their voice. I like your voice better. So
There's not really any male
no,
yoga nidra.
there aren't. Yeah. And then what else do I do? Yeah.
Wait, can I ask a question about, so when you leave yoga and you said that you cry a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but you cry sometimes. Is
A
it
lot,
usually,
sometimes.
okay, never mind. Is it usually tears of joy? Is it just, okay, yeah. So
so
what
much-
usually brings that up?
So much gratitude. Just the love of just being there. And I think also I'm a very sensitive person. So maybe this is what sometimes overwhelms me about the male energy, that sometimes I can feel it very strongly. I mean, obviously it depends on who it is in the situation, but I think when I'm in a yoga class, and I told Brent this too, this is funny. I was in a yoga class a couple of times and there were 2-3 guys in the class and I could feel myself like getting anxious and overthinking it. And then as soon as the class started, then I forgot who I was, where I was, and what I was doing. But the emotion, I think, is just being there in the space with everybody. And well, also the teacher is incredible. And everything that she says is always so touching. And just being with everybody, I think I feel everyone's energy a little bit. And I think I just carry a lot of love with me. So sometimes after a class, I have to let it out a little bit.
Yeah. Shout out to Erin, Sukha Yoga
Oh my
over
gosh.
Terrytown. She's amazing.
Oh,
Trying to get her on the podcast. So Erin,
Please.
this is your multiple request.
You're calling.
Come and give us your wisdom.
This is your conch shell. We're calling it. We're summoning you, Aaron.
Gee, it's amazing.
I always recommend all my clients, I personally think they should do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And the type of yoga is one that involves focusing as the main pillar is your breath. Because it's a way of just opening your body, but it's a mindfulness practice. And if you're trying to change your life or self or whatever, you can't make changes unless you're aware of what you're thinking. If you don't know your thoughts or aware of like your habits or like the things that you do unconsciously, you can't make a change. And they just blend so well together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You recover, like when you do yoga and you come back to weights, everything feels more open.
Mm-hmm. And you're so conscious of, not self-conscious because you can be, but it's like the practice of being with yourself. And to me, that was eye-opening. I had never really thought about that. I'm there thinking, okay, I can't do a headstand, but it's like, it's not about what you can do, right? So I love that I think that's why I get so emotional, because I'm connecting to myself. Because, yeah, I mean, that's what I want to do, achieve this, be more connected to me, not worry about everybody else so much.
Yeah, I think yoga is different in that if you're going to the kind of yoga I recommend is you're trying to only do what feels good for you and let your breath be the guide. And being okay, not doing what other people are doing, where like a boot camp or a hard workout, you are intentionally trying to push yourself. So your brain is like, your mind is the thing driving everything and your body's trying to keep up. Where in yoga, it's the reverse. You're letting your body lead and then letting your mind be okay with that. And so the mind, that's what can happen is like, your mind's like, I should do this. I should push harder. But it's like, no, you're trying to let your mind take a back seat and just do and honor what your body feels. And it's more of like a feminine energy. And it's just more balancing to have the two different modalities.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's really hard though, for me.
Yeah.
Super hard.
And then I've been having you do yoga nidras. What have your experience been like?
Yoga nidra, you just feel like you get a very deep rest. Even if you don't sleep, you just come out of there and you're like, wow, I feel like I did take a nap. it's it's almost like a game you play with your body, right? Like the right side, the left side, both at the same time. So yeah, it's super stimulating, but very relaxing at the same time, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's a very restful meditation. And I think that's what people, they think of, I need to fall asleep, but that's not the goal.
Right.
It's just taking a pause, doing a meditation, and then laying down so you can go into like a theta state, or sometimes you do fall asleep.
Yeah, you do sometimes.
Right? And it's like a washing of your nervous system. And just your brain all of a sudden gets like 25% more power. You're like, whoop, and your mind's back on.
Yeah. I like doing it during the day rather than at night. I like my meditation at night and then yoga nidra during the day.
And you have a sauna and a cold plunge, but I took you sauna cold plunging at Kuya.
Yes.
Because I'm like, this is so much different than what sauna and cold plunges at your home.
Right.
Because if you just use an infrared, you can't really do multiple rounds. Because for an infrared, you need to be in there probably like 45 minutes to an hour to really get a sweat.
Yeah.
With a dry sauna, you can be in there 10, 15 minutes.
Right? And you know what happens when you're at home? It's like working out at home. You're always, oh my gosh, I have to do something else. You're moving on quickly.
Easily get distracted.
Yeah. So it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, tell me about
better than nothing.
Yeah, your cold plunge experience. The sauna cold plunge.
It is so painful, the cold plunge, but it's incredible. It's like one of those things that you hate. And then when you're out of there, you're like, again, I feel superhuman. I feel like a Wonder Woman.
Yes. You do like 10 to 15 minutes in the sauna. Then we cold plunge 2-3 minutes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Yes.
And we did 3 rounds. And this is a good tip. When you're doing cold plunge, too many people are watching, Joe Rogan or all these like alpha dudes. It's like, think of exercise. You're just trying to do the amount of stress. So being in the cold, being in the sauna is a good stress. It's out of your comfort zone a little bit. So you're not trying to overdo it. Just like a workout, you're just trying to lift a little bit more weight than you did last time. You're not trying to lift or do weight too much that it's so stressful you can't recover from it.
And then you never do it again.
That's why. So if you can only get in the cold plunge for 10 seconds, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I was so bad at it, and sometimes I still am, depending on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fine. Even sometimes if I'm really tired, even if I just get in there for like 6 minutes, sauna, and back to the cold plunge for 10 seconds, then I know I can go a little bit longer. And it's different each time.
And then you achieve also like a state of mind, pretty much like when I work out with you and I really exert myself, you float the rest of the day. Like you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm floating. Yeah. It's such an amazing feeling. And that's why it's addictive. Like working out with you. Like I started with twice a week and now I do 3 times a week. And I probably would love to do it every day, but I would never recover. And
there's too much.
My body is already falling apart a little bit. So
no, everybody, that's the thing is, if you don't train, your body's for sure going to fall.
Yeah.
But if you train, you're going to get little things here and there over time, but that's part of using your body.
Yeah.
It's just the price you got to pay, and you just make sure you have your recovery modalities. And it takes time to learn what works best for you.
That's true.
To help, recover. And talk a little bit about your diet.
I'm a little bit of a creature of habit with everything in my life. I just tend to stick to what works for me. And the hardest part for me working out, like I'm working out right now, is keeping, just eating enough. If I'm at home, I can eat enough. But if I'm not home, I forget. And sometimes I'm like, holy cow, it's 5 p.m. and I haven't had much to eat at all. So I'm not a huge breakfast person. So before I go work out with you, I've been trying to have raw milk. So I have a glass of milk in the morning. I'll make myself a latte and I'm on my way. And if I don't do the milk, I'll do some almond butter, just a spoonful, and that's it.
That's awesome,
and my coffee. And I bring a huge tumbler with, that water is on steroids. I have everything in there. Like,
what?
I have a super green powder that's got spirulina and a million other things.
Do you have a favorite one? Which one do you use?
Yeah, it's, what is it called? Organifi.
Okay.
Organifi.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic
amazing.
Old school one.
It tastes really, really great because I've tried other green powders that I'm a super taster, and if it doesn't taste good, I can't do it.
I think Angie, that's her good friend.
Really?
Who made that, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to have like a really cool YouTube channel a long time ago. Okay,
So how do you bring your tumbler places?
So with this cutest invention called tumbler toes.
Wait, what is a tumbler?
What's a
Let
tumbler
me
toad,
tell you,
Anna?
we have a few over here.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you just brought some
I
tumbler
brought
toad? Well, let's
these.
have a look.
Okay,
Yeah, let's-
and these are my favorite because these look like ice cream colors, don't they? Or
Yeah, they-
sorbet colors. So
They
these are
do.
the summer
Neapolitan
colors.
right here.
Yes, exactly. Look at you. Yes. And I don't know if you want to bring that one out too,
Yeah.
but this is the Mac Daddy of
The Mac
all
Daddy of
all
tumbler toads.
tumbler toes.
Tumbler toe. This wraps around your 40-ounce, 30-ounce tumbler. It's got a little credit card holder, and it's adjustable, so you can
And
go
a
over your
key ring.
shoulder.
And a
keys.
key ring.
Don't
Key
forget.
ring. Yeah, it's full grain leather, right?
Full grain leather, baby.
Full grain leather, no lead.
And it's durable because let me tell you, the one that I have, my OG, the beige one,
Mhm.
I've had for 8 months.
Mhm.
I've taken it to various places. I've traveled with it. Yeah, this is beautiful. I love the gold.
Yeah, and this is our cell phone one that detaches and then.
You're
turns
telling me
to
I can
reverse.
put my cell phone in there.
I'm telling you.
Oh my
You can
gosh.
put your
Also,
cell phone in there.
I was thinking about putting EMF protection in that.
Wow,
Do you think that's a good idea?
that's amazing.
Yeah, because I figure if it's on your body,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably
carrying it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you had their tan one that's almost
Yes, it's here.
yeah.
I've had it for 8 months or whenever you gave it to me long time ago.
Yeah, what do you like about it?
I love it. I mean, it's super durable. I love that the color is kind of changing, like the leather does, like patina a little bit.
Mhm.
So I take it everywhere. My son plays soccer, so I always take it with me. When I go to soccer, I don't even bring my purse anymore. I carry my phone and my water with me. And I have to tell you what else is in my water. It's the Organifi
Oh yeah.
and amino acids and salts and colostrum, and I think that's it. But anyway,
Wow.
yes, I take that thing everywhere. If you're a sports mama in Texas, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy. You need it.
Yeah, I came up with this idea because I'd always see, clients like you coming in with all their stuff, trying to carry everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to stay active, which we're trying to promote people being active. I love these water bottles. People hate on them, but it's like they're super sturdy, they're strong. And because of the straw, for some reason, people just drink more water. I know
Yeah.
I do. And why not just have something you can throw on and you can hold all your other stuff?
Mhm.
So you can go to yoga, go to Pilates, go to the
Run
store,
errands,
go to your workout,
Mhm.
go to
And
practice.
honestly, when we travel, I take it. I take it with me on the airplane. Empty the bottle, then get water, put it in there. Go. Yeah, I love it. I love mine. I really do.
That's awesome. And something I wanted to dive in with you is you are a big fan of love. Maybe it's
Oh my gosh. That's an
a
understatement.
Spanish,
I think Anna is love. Just the
yeah.
embodiment of
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I always picture you as like Mother Mary or what in Mexico what is the other name?
Guadalupe.
Yeah, Guadalupe.
Guadalupe.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
and you've been married for
27 years.
27 years, and you and Matt met
Oh,
when you were 20.
I was 21 when I met Matthew.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was 23. And yeah, it's a crazy, serendipitous story.
How did you meet?
We met at a costume party. It was a house party. And I did not want to go. I was the only one in my girlfriend group that didn't have a boyfriend. And I was so sick and tired of going out. In Spain, you go out to bars and the bars are crawling with people and the guys come at you and everybody's drinking and there's just no personal space. So I was like, I'm done. I've always been the dreamer, the one searching for love. But I'm like, this is maybe not meant to be just right now. So I wasn't going to go out and my girlfriends convinced me. And we ended up going to this house party and Matthew was there with his cousin who is from Australia and they were traveling together. They had saved money for a year after college and they decided they were going to fly to England, buy a VW bus, and then travel all over Europe. They have family in Holland. They had a great aunt at the time and cousins. And so they ended up going there. And Matthew broke his foot being silly when they were in France. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't stay here. Where should I go? He had a friend in northern Spain. And he called him and he's like, can I crash with you while I'm convalescent? And my cousin he's a surfer. So northern Spain was perfect. So he did. He went to northern Spain, and they met mutual friends of ours, and we all got invited. I didn't know that he was going to be there. And I went to the party, and we we crossed paths. Like, I was going to the bathroom and he was coming out of the bathroom, and it was like fireworks.
But I want to paint the picture. What was your costume and what was his costume?
I was a vampire woman. I had a black dress on and a long cape, and I had shorter hair, and he had long hair, and his was definitely more of a thrown together clothes that they had thrifted through Northern Europe, and he had a cast, but he was dancing on this cast, and he had a broken foot. So I thought that was part of the costume. I didn't know that his foot was actually broken. And he came and introduced himself to me in Spanish, and I corrected him because I was, learning English as well. And so I knew that you have to be corrected early on, or otherwise you just, anyway. So it was just incredible. I could not believe that we hit it off. We had so much in common. His parents are still married. My parents are married. He has a sister. I have a brother. And the whole night just flew by. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So at the end of the night, and by the end of the night, I mean the next morning, it was like 7 a.m. And we had to get home, and we got home by bus. That's how we had to commute from where we were. And he had asked for my phone number. So I gave him my phone number, and never thinking he was going to call me, like he's an American passing through. But I got home around 7:30 a.m. and like at 10 a.m., he was calling me, and I was, oh my gosh, okay. So he calls me, and then we arranged to meet a second time and another costume party. So we went, and it was great. Like, we had so much fun, and I felt like I never thought I was going to marry this guy, but I knew that he was somebody that I wanted to be with for however long, whatever that looked like. And eventually, after we saw each other the second time, then they were going to travel throughout Europe. Actually, at this time, they were going south. They were going to Morocco and Northern Africa. And so I'm like, great. I meet this great guy, and then he leaves after we see each other twice. And so he left when they were doing whatever they were doing, traveling around. He lost his address book. Because remember, this is 1995. No cell phones.
Things were written down back then.
Things were written down. What was important, you wrote down or you memorized. And so I didn't hear from him and none of the friends did either, for like 3 months. And eventually he resurfaced, and my girlfriend said, Matthew's coming, and his cousin had gone home to Australia. This was a year. They had been gone for like a year and a half already.
Whoa.
And he wasn't ready to go home. So he wanted to come to northern Spain, where I was. And my girlfriend said, can you please help him find an apartment? He wants to move here for a bit. And I was like, absolutely not. I haven't heard from him for 3 months. And I don't want him to think I like him. So
heavens no.
Mind games.
Heavens no. And so my girlfriend convinced me, and we met again. And from the moment we saw each other, it was again like no time had passed. So he found an apartment and lived in Spain for 9 months. And we dated all that time. And it was the best time of my life. I mean, it was so fun. So fun. I was at school. Are we good?
You're good.
And then fast forward, I was leaving with school. I was going to do an internship in London with the American Chamber of Commerce, and he was coming home. And our plan was we meet in England because I was going to be working there. He has an Australian passport, so that was possible. And his dad said, why don't you bring her over here so we can meet her and see if she likes America? So I came over here. I left everything, and I spent 3 months in the United States, in California, where he's from. And after that, we decided we wanted to be together. So I went home and got a visa, left my job, took 8 months. So we didn't see each other for 8 months. We called each other, we wrote to each other, and then I came back after the 8 months, and a month later, we got married.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a Shakespearean love tale.
That's the short version, but yeah. So
so let's give us two young chaps some advice. Advice on finding love, how you look at love in relationships.
Love is everything. I just think you have to give it your all, and you have to, this is the one thing that I have many fears in life. I grew up with a mother that was very, like, don't do this, don't do that, you're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. Very guarded. But the one thing that I am fearless with is my heart. Like, I follow it, and I think that's just the way to be. Don't be afraid. Open your heart. The one thing, I think also, don't play games. Like, my husband, when we first met, he didn't wait, he didn't try to play, I'm not interested. And
no
I didn't.
Tactics.
Nothing. And I didn't either. Like, if I love someone, I am going to say it. And I'm going to shower you with kisses and hugs and text messages and voice messages. And because why not? That's why we were put on this earth. I mean, tomorrow I may not be here. And so I would say to you both, just don't be afraid. Open your heart. And if you meet someone that you like, don't put a name on it. Don't say, I want it to be casual or not casual, because you don't know. I think for me, when I meet someone that I like, I want to be with them all the time. And maybe that will work forever. Maybe it'll work for a month. And I had no experience dating, like, I had a couple boyfriends, but nothing serious. And then I met him, and it's not like I planned on marrying him, but that's what ended up happening. So don't be guarded. It's scary, but it isn't. It's just the best. I think that, just give it your all. Just open your heart.
And I think the way maybe you've said this to me is the way you view it is, if it doesn't work out, that's also fine.
Yes.
Like,
there's a lesson.
Moving to the US, you probably in your mind, you can tell me, if it didn't work out, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You're just giving it your all and see how long the cycle of this relationship or whatever it is lasts.
I have to say, I never, ever, ever thought, when I moved here, I was literally following my heart, that's all I do. I follow my heart and I follow my gut. And I'm a very intuitive person. And that's what I did. I didn't think about it. And then in retrospect, then I thought, oh my gosh, like, I'm far away from my family forever. My nephew was born. I wasn't there for that. My mom passed away. I wasn't there for that. So it is, so those things happen. But I wouldn't change it. I just, it's just the way that it was. I just followed my heart. And I think that's what we all should do.
Do you think there's different advice you would give to, like, men versus women when it comes to relationships?
Actually, this is maybe overly simplistic, but I think not. I think we are both looking for the same thing, right? We want to belong, we want to be loved, and we want to be seen by somebody. And you want the person that you love to think that you're the most incredible, the only person. And it's the same for men and women, I think. For men, I would say, because I think men are the most fearful. But in reality, we all are. Just don't be. Because
fearful of what?
Of getting your heart broken, of things not working out. But either way, whether you're afraid or you're not, it's still going to happen, right? So if you don't open your heart and you're not authentically yourself, you're not going to attract the love that you want and the love that you deserve. And that's how I think that happened for me. Because I also knew, and this is important, I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I'm not big on lists. I don't care about eye color or whatever. I want to know the feeling. And I also knew, I guess I learned after the fact that my standards were high. And by high, I mean, I wanted someone that was respectful, sensitive, and someone who adored me. Is that too much to ask? But I think it's the example that I had at home. My mom and my dad were like that. My dad was. So I think if you didn't have that in your life, which is, I guess, that what's most common, then I think that's something that you can learn.
Yeah.
You can write that down and say, this is what I want. And you can make that happen.
How strong of a factor do you think it is for a father figure role in a woman's life as she grows up and starts looking for men?
Everything. Yeah. And I knew this later. My dad, so I didn't have a great relationship with my mom, unfortunately, and she was the parent that I was with the most. I think I would have been a completely different person if my dad had been the one that was with me at home. He is the most supportive, most loving. He thinks I am the best at everything. And so, yeah, but he was such an incredible father figure and also husband and man example for me. So I guess not knowing, but when I look at my husband, he has a lot of the qualities. They're completely different people, but a lot of the qualities that my dad has. My dad is a family man, and so is Matthew. And at the end of the day, I think for both of them, their family is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
My favorite thing to share.
Also, you're one of our biggest fans, by the way.
Yes.
That's why we also had to have you on the podcast.
One of. I think she is our biggest fan.
Yeah.
No, I just love this. I think that the relationship and also love, it doesn't have to only just be romantic. I think, just friends, love for your friends. I love the relationship that you two have. It's like beautiful.
Yeah.
Gross.
You listen to every episode and send us a voice text, your total recap.
Yeah, I have to say, those are the highlights of my day. Sometimes Brent will share with me the voice notes that you sent him about the podcast, and he's like, if you want to get hyped up, listen to this. And I'm like, hell yeah. And you gas us up, you pump our tires.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Yeah, because it's challenging. We're doing so many different things, always working, trying to move the needle on so many different things.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like, obviously we do this for ourselves, but we also want people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
We want people to, like the episodes. And so it gives us fuel to keep doing.
Yeah. Your dynamic, I think, is gold.
What other kind of episodes do you want to hear? Make it happen.
I mean, you have to have Erin here. I love anything that has to do with wellness. I love when you guys talk about mushrooms too. And
that's it. We need to talk about your microdosing.
Next episode.
Next episode. Okay.
Wait, she's alluding to an episode 2 with her.
Well, okay, there we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, wellness. I love when you guys talk about wellness and working out. Yeah.
Oh, you like that? Yeah. I'm trying to mix in a different variety of many different things.
Yeah.
Randomness, music, entrepreneurship, fun, and then also that wellness, fitness vibe.
Yeah, the ethos of the podcast has always been there is no particular direction.
Yeah.
It's interesting people that we want to talk to, that we want to have a conversation with in whatever realm they're in. Yeah. Psychedelics, sexuality, wellness, healing, business, whatever. You could be the world's greatest door maker.
Yes.
We'll have you on if it's an interesting conversation.
I think it's because you both are very curious people and you have lots of interests. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's perfect if you want to have a podcast.
We'll talk about mushrooms more next time, but we're going to talk about them somewhat right now.
Okay.
So many of my clients, which I recommend people microdose, if they do their research and they trust the person that grows them, like just getting like your raw milk from a trusted farmer, that's where you should get your mushrooms. There's so many mushroom products that Instagram pumps out to people and people just take them and it's like, it's probably fine, but there's something super important about knowing your strain and source and actually understanding what's happening to you and how to set it up and whatnot. And it's one of the best tools for getting people to stop drinking because drinking is the thing that keeps people from getting results like big time. You've microdosed. I think one time you messaged me from Spain. I think you microdosed out there. Yeah. Maybe you've done it before you sauna'd. What got you interested in wanting to even microdose and what has been your experience the few times you have?
So definitely our conversations about it and the things that you have shared. And also Matthew has been interested. So through a common friend, we met this beautiful woman who grows them and sells them. And she had us over to her house, cooked us this beautiful meal. And I just wanted to have the experience. When I met her, she's like, you are, even before I said anything, she said, you're such a sensitive creature, being. I think with you, less is more. So that's kind of my approach to a lot of things. And for me, microdosing is almost like you are in a dream state. Even with the tiniest dose for me, I go into this very introspective state. And oftentimes I want to write and I want to read and I can't do it. Because, like your brain wants to look at the water in the pool or the trees. You kind of want to be one with nature. I don't know if you experienced this, but and then afterwards I just get super creative. I get a lot of thoughts and ideas of maybe the things that I'm dealing with in the moment, and I get ideas of maybe how to look at them from a different perspective. So yeah, they're a little bit of magic.
I totally agree. I notice actually people who are more sensitive like you or emotional, they actually do pretty well on them. You may need lower doses or whatnot, but I think it really gets you into your emotional body.
Yeah.
And people who are good feeling things can move through stuff better, where people that are more in their head, maybe not so connected, that's where they're can become like this weird conflict sometimes.
Yeah,
and
there's fighting each other. The forces are
and
fighting.
There's this like unpleasantness. Like my sister, she's very emotional like I am, but even more so. Like if she's feeling it, you know it. Yeah. And she is a mushroom. Like she can take
she is a mushroom.
She can take insane doses and then just go do like I remember when we first started taking them, she would just go to like clubs where people are drinking and stuff. She's like, yeah, I'm on 2 grams. I'm like,
oh my
fuck,
gosh.
are you on 2 grams?
I would be terrified. I'm scared of my own feelings.
Yeah.
So I would be so terrified to feel more.
Higher doses actually, to me, feel better than doing lower doses.
Really?
Because there's a tipping point, especially with certain strains, where if you're in this lower end, you kind of have this residual, I don't know, anxiety, where all of a sudden you get this certain dose, you go over the edge. And then you just feel like after a yoga class, super present, and you just feel totally good.
I think it's because mushrooms, you really have, well, really any psychedelic, you have to surrender to it. And when you start fighting with the psychedelic or whatever substance, that's when it becomes bad. Like anybody who's ever had a bad trip, quote unquote, it's because they were trying not to.
That would be my fear.
Well,
because I am not go with the flow. I'm not your go with the flow girl.
Valid fear.
I am like, I'm going to fight it and I don't surrender.
Maybe that's why psychedelics are so useful.
That's the work that I need to do.
Well, I'm the same as you. Like I want to be in control all the time. So I've always like fought them. And so it took LSD really beating my brain down to like finally learn how to surrender to that stuff. And I still am no expert at it. Yeah. But it's like waves, if you stand in sort of waist high water, you can fight the waves.
Yeah,
and once you go out further, it's like taking a bigger dose. Now you're just one with the waves. Like you can't fight the waves. They will just move you where they move you. And so you have to, like you said, sometimes you need a bigger dose that will kind of take you over the edge where you're just kind of forced to surrender. And it's easier to do that when you don't have the option of standing on your 2 feet.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
And set and setting is super important too. That's what happened. People take mushrooms. I had a client who her sister took a dose and she took it for the first time.
How much?
2 kids at home screaming.
Yikes.
She was working on her computer.
Nope.
And her husband was there stressing her out. And it's like, that is absolutely the worst
That's
time.
the worst scenario. You need to be on your own or with someone that in a peaceful...
The vibe needs to be good. Yeah. It's all about the vibes. And when you're in somewhere that's, you feel comfortable, like you feel like your nervous system can relax, that's a good place to do it. That's why I think you would do well. It would be interesting to see what your experience would be if you did it in a ceremony where you had somebody watching over you, could fully let go and your ground control. Because I think it would be some of the things, you're working on, whatnot, it would just pop everything open.
It is much better that way, like having a guide, because now you have like a safety net.
Yeah.
It feels easier to just let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid of it.
You should be. You should always have that feeling of like, I don't know what's going to happen. No matter if you've done it 1,000 times, that's the respect for it. And that's the respect for it.
The moment you lose the fear, it will humble you. And that's what you should be afraid of.
Okay.
So the fear of it is completely normal.
Yeah, it'll be like, okay, elbow you in the head.
Yeah. I'm a novice, I should say. Yeah, I don't know much about it.
And also, like, always just follow what feels good.
Yeah.
Don't take advice from two guys. Like, just do what feels two fun guys, specifically, two fun ones. Yeah, whatever feels good in your body, just follow that. If you have a calling to something, do it. If you don't do it.
With psychedelics, you should never, you shouldn't do it based on what other people tell you.
Right.
You should feel like, okay, I want to try this. You still might feel very scared, nervous, but you're genuinely wanting to do it yourself. Because that way, when you're in a potentially tricky situation, you put yourself there instead of being like, fuck, I didn't want to be here in the first place. And that's a little challenging. Well, Anna, you did it. You did it.
You did it. How do you feel? You made it through. You made it through the full podcast.
I did. I hope you can edit the beginning. It was a little bumpy.
No,
but
I thought it was perfect.
It was
thank
great.
you so much. I mean, thank you for giving me this experience. Honestly, I never, thought that I would be here.
Well, we're so glad. Yeah, so glad that you came.
Thank you
so
so
thankful that you came. And
Yes.
you got to share your light with us. Like we said, you are the epitome of love. So it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
All right, spores, go forth.
Go forth and spread.